Shots are hard. They can be scary and overwhelming for our kids and us. And yet we wouldn't do it if they weren't incredibly important. But there has to be a way to make the experience a little less painful, literally and figuratively. But how? Well, let's figure it out together. Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm Kyira Wackett. Thanks for joining me for another video as we work to empower and equip you with the confidence and skills to write your own story so that you can live your life on purpose. Today I want to talk about vaccines and what we can do to make our child's next appointment a little bit easier. Now, I want to start by saying that this is not a video meant to debate whether or not that you believe in vaccines, think that they're helpful or trustworthy. This isn't about trying to make you believe in or support vaccines or to change your mind. What you believe is yours to own. This video is about supporting caregivers who are choosing to vaccinate their children to consider how they can make it a little less stressful of an experience for themselves and their littles. So if you have something hateful to say, I'm just going to politely ask you to share it in a forum designed for that debate. And know that we are all, you and me included, just trying to do what we believe is best for ourselves and for our little ones. Okay, so now let's get into the meat. I like to break down the vaccine into 3 subsections: preparation, at the appointment, and after, as there are key strategies to be used in each setting that can help you and your little. So first, let's talk about preparation. Step 1, be honest. Don't lie to them or try to hide that they're getting a shot at their appointment. Hiding it from them only erodes trust between you and your kids and can activate a stronger fear reaction in the room. Knowing can give you and your little one time to talk about the experience, make space to move through some of their fear, and practice what's called cognitive rehearsal, where your child visualizes themselves getting their vaccine and rehearses the experience, employing different coping techniques and tools to visualize themselves moving through it with less anxiety. And if you aren't sure if they'll be due for a vaccine at their next appointment, you can always call or message the clinic to ask, so that again, we're being upfront with our kids instead of being told at the appointment. 2, be mindful of the language that you use. Some words elicit different responses in our bodies, and being mindful about the words you use to describe this experience can have a significant impact on how they prepare for and even code the experience in their brains after it happens. Instead of using words like painful or hurt, try using words like pinch, pressure, or poke. 3rd, consider the location. When Everly was 18 months old, we had a temporary insurance change that resulted in her having to go to a different clinic for her well child checkup. It was a family medicine clinic, and while yes, family medicine doctors are perfectly equipped to see your child at their well child visit, the setting is very different. The place felt sterile, which was a stark change from the vibrant colors and decor at her pediatrician's office. And because they don't specialize in children, some of the tools that can be used to reduce and distract from pain, which we'll talk about later, were unavailable. That made a huge difference in how that appointment was for Everly. 4th, don't apologize. Remember the reason that you're doing this and explain it to them. You can validate and make space for their fear or pain while not dismissing the importance of this. So instead of saying, I'm sorry we have to do this today, try saying, I know it can feel scary to get your flu shot. Sometimes I get scared too. We get vaccines to help our body build up an immune response to fight off hurtful bugs and viruses that can make us really sick. You are so strong. And 5, find ways to expose them to the ideas of vaccines and medicine outside of their appointment. Take them with you to get your vaccine. Get a doctor kit and practice giving vaccines to each other or on their stuffed animals. Employ the support of your little one's favorite shows and characters. So for example, Sesame Street made a lot of videos talking about different characters getting their COVID-19 vaccines, and even had a full page with resources for kids and their caregivers. And they can watch Daniel the Tiger talk about how he prepares to go to the doctor too. From here, let's consider the appointment itself. The first point to consider is that your reaction matters. If you're anxious, they will be too. Your mood has a much more significant effect on your little one than you want to believe. There was a time I wasn't taking Everly to her doctor's appointments because my anxiety about her being in pain was having a negative effect on how she was feeling in the room. I had to work on being okay with the fact that she might feel sad and scared and remind myself why we made the decision to vaccinate our child. I was honest with Everly that I don't like to see her upset, but I also talked about how awesome it is to be brave enough to do something that we know is important, even when it feels a little scary. The second thing is to use your resources and employ pain management support. There are a variety of different supports that can help make the physical experience more comfortable, including something called a buzzy bee, which is this super cool little bee that distracts the nerves in the area just above where the shot's going to be administered and stops the pain signals from making their way to the area. Some even have little ice packs on them, which also helps numb the area too. This is used at the time of the vaccine, so you put it on just before they administer it. You can also use cold spray, which is exactly like what it sounds like. It's this really cold spray that you apply to the area just before you give the vaccine. There are also creams that can be used, but sometimes they need more time to work, as much as maybe 30 minutes before the shot's given. So you often want to have a plan with your doctor's office about that as well. Now, one note that I'll make is that the cold can be jarring depending on your child's sensitivity level. It's also a little harder for younger kids because they might think the spray is the vaccine, so panic can set in then as well. Third, distraction can be incredibly powerful. Some kids respond well to having a comfort toy or animal to hold while they're with you. Comfort items are incredibly powerful and an excellent way for them to use their self-soothing and coping skills. They might also like having music. You could even consider making them their own playlist or watching something on your phone. While this helps, I think it can often be more for you to manage and subconsciously make it more anxiety-provoking. The reality is the shot itself takes less than 5 seconds. So really just consider what tools that you use and if it ends up being more to manage and might cause more frustration for you and your child on top of anxiety, which could render the support useless. 4, try and show up from a place of empathy. Consider their position. Depending on their age, there are different ways that you can sit with and comfort your child. Everly, being a younger one, can sit on my lap, facing me so that I can hug her really tight, or sitting out from me where I can hold her leg really still. Now, one thing to note is that regardless of age, sitting up or being in more of an upright position is preferable, as lying down is a much more vulnerable position to be in and can trigger more of a panic response. 5, use your breath. While we all know breathing is an incredibly powerful tool, we can often forget it in times of high stress. Practicing deep breathing outside of stressful situations is one of the best things that we can do with our kids, as their breath can help them through all sorts of challenging situations. In this case, deep breaths can help activate the parasympathetic nervous system and lessen the stress response in the brain. You might even bring a distraction tool to help with this, such as a pinwheel, a sensory jar, or oils, such as lavender or bubbles. Another powerful thing you can do with this is use the power of progressive muscle relaxation, or the act of tensing and releasing the muscles as a way to relax your system. Tense muscles will make the vaccine more painful, so this technique can help them reduce their pain and help them feel less overwhelmed and feel more calm. If they have difficulty understanding how to engage with the process, try bringing a stress ball with you and having them take a deep breath, squeeze the ball for 3 to 5 seconds, then breathe out and release. And 6, don't dawdle. Be direct and intentional. Everly is inevitably going to be upset or cry as soon as she comes into that office or sits on my lap and gets ready for the vaccine. And she's going to stop feeling that way until the shot is done. Trying to soothe her beforehand or lessen that feeling is only prolonging the inevitable. Be compassionate and loving, yet deliberate. Work with a medical provider to be intentional with your actions, and then give yourself plenty of time after the vaccine to soothe and celebrate. Okay, now once the vaccine is over, let's talk about that final piece. It might seem natural to just move on, but reinforcement here is key. So a couple things that you can do. First, leverage the power of positive affirmation. Build them up. Be their ultimate hype person and celebrate how awesome it was that they got their vaccine. Now, one note I will make, which may be the biggest takeaway I hope you get from this whole video, is to never qualify their bravery or the experience by whether or not they cry. Crying is not a bad thing. It doesn't distinguish them as more or less brave or strong. Crying is a normal human experience and a release of emotions. The celebration is in getting their shot, not how they felt about it. Second, celebrate them with a little something extra. It doesn't have to be a toy or a prize. Perhaps it's a sticker from the front desk or getting to pick the music in the car on the way home. Maybe you pack their favorite snack to have after it's all done. We've started a tradition of taking videos to show off Everly's muscles and how strong and brave she is while she has a favorite snack. If we can make it to a park, or even if we can grab lunch after the appointment at a food cart area, we try to do that too, just to have something that we can look forward to anchor the experience. And third, make sure you take time to recount the experience. Have them walk through the experience again and talk about what they felt, what helped, what didn't, and especially if it was scary, painful, or both, and if so, how it felt. This will help you get a feel for how they're integrating that experience in their brain and give you an idea for how you can support them more next time. And hopefully, as is the case for many kids, when they tell you the story again and reflect on how it wasn't as bad as they thought, their brain's going to be able to start to hold on to that and release the stress for next time. Now, of course, there may be some pain or symptoms that present after the vaccine. So if that happens, make sure you talk to your medical provider about what to watch for and ways they recommend supporting them through that. Now look, we are all just trying to do right by our kids, and it's hard when that means making a choice that's painful and scary. But I want you to remind yourself you are not a bad parent or caregiver. They and you can do hard things. Now, before you go, I'd love to hear from you which of these tips that you're going to try for your next Littles appointment. Or if you have other wisdom to share, please let us know that as well. And if you found today's episode valuable and insightful, I encourage you to hit that thumbs up, click subscribe, and of course, share this episode with someone you think could benefit from hearing it. If you're ready to take that next step in your own shame resilience journey, be sure to click the link in the show notes to download my free handout, 5 things shame resilient people do every day and 3 things they don't. And if you're looking for more ways to connect, you'll find links to my website, email list, and podcast below, as well as a link to set up a discovery call to go over any questions that you have about program offerings and/or next steps in your shame resilience journey. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Remember, you have the right to author your own story. So let's go get that pen back. I'll see you next time.